Russia's War in Ukraine by Brad Lendon, Jeevan, Ravindran, Lara Smith Spark, Aditi Sangal, and Adrienne Vogt, CNN. What we're covering: Russian forces are intensifying their bombardment of areas in eastern Ukraine, still under Ukrainian control. Ukrainian officers in the east admit their defenses are outmanned and outgunned. Multiple officers said the U.S. is preparing to offer advanced long-range rocket systems that are now the top request from Ukrainian officials. A larger package of U.S. military assistance could be announced as soon as next week, they said. Heavy fighting continued Friday in the Luhansk region, Ukrainian officials said, with a local military chief describing fierce battles for the city of Severodonetsk. In a new report, legal experts accuse Russia of inciting genocide and intending to destroy Ukrainian people. It comes as Ukraine's president said Russia's actions in eastern Ukraine reflect an obvious policy of genocide. Pentagon is mindful of Ukraine's request for long-range rockets, spokesperson says, from CNN's Michael Conte and Christian Sierra. The U.S. Defense Department said it is mindful and aware of Ukraine's request for multiple launch rocket systems, but that decisions haven't been made yet. Our goal from the very beginning has been to try to help them in the fight that they are in today, said outgoing Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby at a briefing with reporters. I won't go so far as to say it's too late to provide the Ukrainians with any system or capability that they might need, because they are very active in the fight and they have pushed back the Russians up near Kharkiv, Kirby said. However, Kirby said the Defense Department is mindful of the clock when it comes to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We are ever mindful, as we have been since the beginning, mindful of the clock here, mindful of this sense of urgency, mindful that time is not our friend, said Kirby, which is why we have been continuing to move equipment literally every day for the last 90 plus days of this war. CNN reported Thursday that the Biden administration is preparing to send MLRS systems as part of a larger package of military and security assistance to Ukraine, which could be announced as soon as next week. The MLRS and its lighter weight version, the HIMARS, can launch as far as 300 kilometers, 186 miles, depending on the type of munition. Officials rebut claims that Russian troops have surrounded the city of Severodonetsk in eastern Ukraine from CNN's Kostan, Nechyporenko. Ukrainian officials are denying that the city of Severodonetsk and Luhansk is surrounded, but have acknowledged that Russian forces hold one part of the city. This city is not cut off, and it is not surrounded. The fighting continues, said Serhiy Haidai, head of the Luhansk region's military administration, in a radio interview. The Russian army has only entered the outskirts of the city, he claimed. This is a war against a very powerful enemy, and in theory, anything is possible, Haidai said when asked about the possibility of Russian troops gaining further ground in the city. The higher military command sees this situation, but so far I can say that in a day, two, three, they will completely take over the area. No, most likely they won't. We have enough strength, he continued, while also cautioning that maybe there will be a command to our troops even to retreat. Finnish Foreign Minister says time frame is essential as country seeks to join NATO. From CNN's Jennifer Hansler, Finnish Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto expressed optimism that sooner or later Finland and Sweden will be members of NATO and said discussions with the Turkish government would continue as Ankara threatens to block the two nations from joining the defensive alliance. In an interview with CNN in Washington, D.C. Friday, Haavisto said he expected that the topic of Finland's NATO membership and overcoming Turkish current opposition would come up in his conversations with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in his meeting later in the day, adding he was quite confident that other NATO countries had spoken with Turkey as well. Delegations from Finland and Sweden, which both formally applied for NATO membership last week, traveled to Turkey earlier this week for talks on NATO accession. All current NATO members must approve new members. Haavisto, who did not attend the talks, called it a good meeting and said it lasted for 5 hours. Haavisto indicated that there are European and Finnish laws and policies in place that guide Finland's actions on Turkish main demands, the designation the PKK as a terrorist organization, lifting arms export controls, the extradition of Kurdish militants that Turkey sees as terrorists. However, Turkish presidential spokesperson Ibrahim Kalin said following the delegation's visit that if Turkey's security concerns are not met with concrete steps, the process cannot progress. Haavisto said there was an agreement to continue those discussions, but a next round of talks has not yet been arranged. From our perspective, the time frame is essential because we are, of course, looking forward to NATO summit in Madrid, which is at the end of June. And we hope that during the NATO summit, the new members would be welcomed, at least, and the NATO open door policy would be confirmed. But of course, this is up to each and every member state that they can also influence the process, he said. The decisions by Finland and Sweden to apply for NATO was a major shift prompted by Russia's war in Ukraine.